So, first of all, Aaron, let's go back to fight night. Take me back to your dressing room before you walked out. What was that like? How did that feel? Talk to me about how it looked, how it smelt, how it sounded. Was there music playing? Were there prayers said? What's the build up to your fight?
Yeah, it was a very, focused feeling, just in the zone. Had the music playing, was going over tactics, what way the fight was going to play out, just envisioning it all, playing it out. And changing room was a big, massive changing room, and uh, it was just, yeah, it's always a strange feeling, before you go out to fight. And the ring walk, everything was brilliant. Once I seen all them fans, 65, 67,000, that atmosphere was it was crazy. It's incredible. It's something, I'll remember forever. And it was just some feeling, all that before the fight, and it was incredible.
Was the change room, was that just your team? Was it shared with any other fighters on a card at all?
No, no, just my team. It was I think it was the one they used for the NFL. So they're like four or five big massive ones, yeah. And we were just in there, my team, me, my dad, my brother, Tony, John, Mick, and Sham. So it was just we were in the zone, so we got there a couple hours before the fight and locked in, and it was no different than any other fight.
You said there was music playing. Do you remember what the last song you heard was before you walked out?
The last song, I think, and I think Stephen has a video of it. I think it was King Kunta by Kendrick Lamar. I think that was the last one. And before that was probably AC/DC Thunderstruck. It always gets the blood flowing. So yeah, it's always it's a strange feeling, but it's a good one. You know, before you go out to fight, because it's basically it's your whole lifetime's behind it. Like I put a lot of years, a lot of hard work into the game, and it all comes down to the night, and it finally came, and it was a big stage. A lot of pressure was put on the line. A lot of people didn't give me a chance. A lot of boxing pundits, a lot of the boxing experts over in the UK all predicted me to lose. So there was a lot on the line.
I was going to ask you, you mentioned Kendrick Lamar there. I was going to ask you, is your playlist like a hip hop type vibe? But then you said AC/DC, and it's clearly not. Uh,
It's yeah, yeah. It's a lot of mixed up songs. A lot of Kendrick. Probably half it's all Kendrick, but and then the other half would be like AC/DC. A lot of Irish songs too. So you'd find a lot of different songs in it, but it always gets me going.
you mentioned that obviously gets the blood pumping, the adrenaline running, that AC/DC, that high tempo music, that heavy metal side of things. Is that what you listen to, sort of one after the other? Do you listen to that something to get you amped, and then something to bring you back down into that focus and that tunnel vision, and then back up again? Do you tend to do that whilst you're in the dressing room beforehand, or is it all one get amped and then that focus?
Yeah, well, usually I'd probably, yeah, you're right. I'd probably play stuff like Kendrick and that at the start, first hour or two. And then the closer it gets to your walkout, you'd play songs like AC/DC, Red Hot Chili Peppers, stuff like that. Can't stop to get it really going, to really hype me up. But yeah, it's a good one.
Just picture it now, you, Stephen, and your dad just headbanging out in the dressing room before you get out.
Yeah, yeah, we're pumping it up, and it's always the way. We're so focused in the changing room and don't really take any distractions. We're in the zone, and it's good.
Let's reflect on the fight itself. It seemed, obviously you listened to your Corner's instructions. It was tactically, the game plan was down to a T. It was perfect. Um, I mean, for me, I struggled to give Liam more than a round or two, to be honest with you. I thought you dominated the fight. And as you say, you was a big underdog in terms of the pundits' eyes and a lot of the media eyes. You was actually a favourite with the bookies. For you coming out of that, how did you feel to walk away with a victory after hearing people say, no, you're too inexperienced, Liam Smith's got too much for you?
Yeah, I felt very good. Like a lot of people didn't give me a chance, especially the boxing pundits, the experts, the people that know about the game. It's understandable when the casuals you see online that say, "Oh, having a chance," I'm not ready for this level. when the people that know about the game didn't give me a chance, it really gave me that extra motivation. And it was just a nice feeling when I got the win and the way I did it. Like I think I said to you before, I don't only want to win, I want to win in style. And because I knew how important it would be, a lot of people were watching. I wanted to make it a statement win. A former world champion, been in with a lot of good guys. He knocked out Chris Eubank 2 fights ago, and I knew how important it was to make sure that I'd take advantage of all this.
No, definitely, absolutely. And obviously, you did perform well. You come out of this, with your stock risen so high. Talk to me about or if there was any pressure. You mentioned the walking out and the 67,000 people. Obviously they're all chanting and cheering and whatever else for both of you and Liam. And then you're in the fight, and you mentioned tunnel vision. How hard is it to stay focused? And you looked laser focused, and as I mentioned, the plan seemed to go to a T. Really, you didn't come off that at all. Whilst you got 67,000 people cheering, knowing that you're dominating this veteran former world champion, someone who is well respected in boxing.
Yeah, like you said, I was well prepared, and I knew what I was capable of doing on my ability. But the ring walk, I wanted to take it all in because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Not many fighters get to experience it. Fighting in a stadium like Tottenham Hotspur holds a lot of people, and on the biggest UK fight card ever of all time, it'll go down as one of the greatest cards ever. I think it was very, very good, and I wanted to take it all in. It didn't faze me at all. When I seen the atmosphere, when I seen the people, it didn't affect me in any way, and it felt natural.
I want to mention there's a video went viral after the fight. I think it was Hennessy Sports posted it about Joe McNally coming to your dressing room, and he said to your dad, he said, "Guide him the right way, all the way to the top." He basically said, "Pass the torch there," and he really, really complimented you. And he was an absolute gentleman, as I know Joe is. How did that feel for you to have the opponent's coach come in and tell you those words?
Yeah, it was great. He showed a lot of respect and fair play to him because he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to come in and do any of that. So fair play to him. He's a great guy, great coach, and it's great to see them sort of things in boxing. That's the sort of stuff that you don't really see too often. And he showed a lot of respect, and it was good to see.
Did you get to watch much of the main event after? Did you get to sit down and have a watch of that?
Yeah, I seen it. I went and sat down, and yeah, what a fight it was! Some atmosphere, and yeah, it was a great fight. It lived up to all the hype, and Connor did well. Like I thought he was going to come out the way he did, and it was just about if he could keep it going and really make it and dent on Eubank. And there's a couple of times he caught him clean and shook Eubank up a bit, but yeah, it was a very good fight.
Before the fight, we spoke, and you said that you'll have one eye on the fight because you want the winner. Eubank's a name that you've mentioned to me before over the last few years. Watching that fight and obviously where you put in the performance you put in as well on the same night. Do you think that puts you in good stead for that potential fight down the line?
I think so. Yeah, it definitely does. Like the way I beat Liam as well, uh, convincingly, and Liam knocked him out 2 fights ago. So it'd be interesting to see, for the public, what way the fight would play out. But I think the storyline as well could continue. The father, senior, he fought Collins, an Irishman, and he fought him in Ireland. So why not let this storyline continue and do it again? Junior can fight an Irishman over here in Ireland or whatever. It doesn't matter to me, but I just want to get the biggest fights possible, and that's one of them.
Absolutely. You mentioned the biggest fights possible. We also spoke before the fight. Janabek was one fight that was on your radar. Obviously, Hamza Shiraz's name gets linked with you now as well. That I think he's sort of at 165-ish now, I think, as well. For you, is your future at 160? Could you go to 165? What's your plan really for your weight?
Yeah, well, wherever the biggest fights are, I want to become world champion, and I believe I will become world champion in the middleweight division. So, any of them world champions, Lara, Johnny Beck, Adamez, wherever it is, it doesn't matter to me. And I definitely do believe I will become world champion sooner rather than later. But if you can't get them, then why not get Eubank or Shiraz, whoever it is, but I don't think any of them guys have any interest in fighting a guy like me.
Are you too high risk and low reward for these fighters who aren't, or even the world champions as well, I suppose? So unless you're mandatory, do you feel that you will get these fights?
Maybe before the Smith fight, it would have been high risk, low reward, but I think now I've built a bigger name. I fought on a huge platform, a lot of people watching, so a lot of people in the boxing world know who I am now and really respect me. So I think I'm getting closer to a stage now where they will find it harder to turn it down, but time will tell.
You mentioned earlier about your playlist and Kendrick Lamar's on there, and I want to speak to you about Kendrick Lamar because you met him out in America. I think it was before one of your fights. Um, how did that whole thing come around? Is it he watched you train and then he wanted to go and watch your fight or something along those lines?
Yeah, it's a crazy one. Like it's quite random. Me and Steven just walked into the gym one time, our usual gym that we were training at in California, and there he was doing the pads, and we got talking to him after it and got a picture with him. And really nice guy, really down to earth, humble. And then the following week we seen him at the gym again, and that time me and Steven done like 8 rounds of sparring. He was done his training at that stage. And he watched the whole spar, me and Stephen, the whole 8 rounds, and again we were talking to him, and we met like that a good few times at the gym, so we nearly seen him a lot at the gym. And then I had a fight coming up, and he said he wanted to go to it, and he made a 4 hour car journey to watch me fight in Fantasy Springs, California. And before I went out, about 10 minutes before the ring walk, he came in and wished me luck before it. So yeah, he's what a guy he was, and down to earth, like I said. And yeah, it's crazy now. Like he was massive back then, and he's even bigger now.
Was it obviously you mentioned it's surreal, but obviously he's come down to watch your fight, and it's before you've really blown up your profile. You know, you was out there fighting at the start of your career, and you got Kendrick Lamar coming to support you, one of the biggest names in the world, not just in music, but worldwide. How surreal is that feeling?
Yeah, it's like the more you think about it, the crazier it is. Like it's hard to believe that we were so close with him. You know, we met him loads of times, and for him to come to my fight to make that journey, Jesus, like it's incredible. Like when you think of it.
Absolutely. I mean, you'd expect it from a Canelo Alvarez or something like that, but for an American
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
start of his
It's,
career,
yeah.
it's
Quite,
great.
it's one of the most random stories you'd hear.
It's brilliant. And didn't your dad try to kick him out of the dressing room or not allow him access, something like that?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was in the zone before the fight, and he seen him come in, and he didn't really half recognize him. You see, because he was that focused, and I think he said to Stephen, get him out, or not get him out, but who's out there?" Because he had his hood up.
Hmm.
But then Stephen was like, "No, that's Kendrick. That's Kendrick." So we got the picture.
Fantastic. I want to move on to mention big names in Kendrick Lamar there. I want to talk about sparring. Obviously, all different names for yourself there. I've known Lemachenko, things like that. Is he the biggest name that you've shared the ring with?
Terence Crawford, yeah, 100%. I think he's the best fighter in the world right now, pound for pound, number one. And when I was sparring him, you could tell he thinks different than the rest. He's different from just an average Joe. He has that thing in him where he could put you to sleep. He's always thinking. Always trying to set you up. He's always trying to set traps. But me and him sparring, it was a brilliant spar. It was a high level sparring match, and it was like a game of chess. But he was very impressed with me and Stephen after it, and he said it. Him and his coach Bomac, they were really impressed. And then as I was sparring the other guys in the gym, he was coming up in between the rounds, giving me more advice and tips. So it was great to have all that guidance and experience from him.
So, like you mentioned, they're getting that guidance and tips from him. Obviously, like you mentioned, one of the pound for pound greats, certainly one of the greatest fighters in his generation. What's it like to be in his gym sparring other guys and him giving you advice between rounds? And what was any key advice that stood out for you?
Yeah, it was brilliant. They do 4 minute rounds as well. So it was 4 minute rounds with 30 seconds rest. But like for him to come up in between the rounds as well and give me little tips, like something as simple as like walk him on to a 1-2 or faint down or come up. Something that would work straight away when I done it. But he's well switched on. He's a very good fighter, and I'm looking forward to his next fight.
In terms of, I mentioned before the fight as well, the prize fighter tournament falling through. Just quickly recap on that, the disappointment of that falling through, and obviously that £1 million potential payday to now being on the cusp of a world title. They say silver linings and everything for a reason. Does this opportunity you've had now beating Liam Smith and what's next for you, does that sort of leave the prize fighter tournament forgotten about now?
I think so. Yeah, it was a great opportunity for me, and there was a lot of money in that too for the winner, $1 million, and I definitely believe I was going to win it. I was the favorite as well, and then the knockout bonuses too. It was just unfortunate, that it got cancelled, and yeah, it was great that I got this opportunity, to fight Liam Smith, an even bigger one on a bigger stage, and it definitely does set up bigger fights for me now. I'm well known now, probably in the world, not just Ireland and the UK. As a fighter, I'm well known probably all over the world. So it's definitely given me that title now, the title I deserve.
No, definitely. I want to mention as well, I mentioned obviously sparring. I want to talk about the trainers you've worked with, these brilliant boxing minds, Freddie Roach, Robert Garcia, Jesse Reed. Just talk to me about learning from these guys who have been in boxing all their lives and how much of an advantage that they can give you.
Yeah, it definitely does give you a big advantage. I think all fighters from the UK or Ireland, if they want to become world champion, they should definitely go out to America, whether it's for a few weeks or a few months to experience it. I went out to America as young as 16 to learn the game, and it's definitely been a game changer. I've been doing stuff that I've been learning since I was young, picking up things over there. And I was with Freddie Roach for a year, Robert Garcia for a year, and then Jesse Reed as well. He was helping us when we were over in Las Vegas. And you pick up all these different things along the way, and it comes to a stage where it's just natural. You don't even realize you're doing it because it's consistency and repetition.
Definitely. Just one thing as well, I forgot to ask you earlier. You mentioned about meeting Kendrick in the gym out in California. What gym was that, sorry?
It was Buddy McGirt's gym
Right.
over there. It's closed now, but Buddy McGirt, yeah, we used to train there when we
Blue,
lived over.
Blue Moon, was it called something like that?
No, I think it was McGirt. It was called McGirt and Pullman's. It was a joint gym. Yeah, but Buddy McGirt, yeah, we spent over a year and a half in that gym. Good gym.
The last thing I want to talk about is your relationship with your father and how you split the father and son relationship to fighter and coach relationship.
Yeah, well, once we're in the gym, he's it's a coach, but it's family. When outside the gym, we don't really talk about boxing or nothing to do with boxing, but we have a good connection, we have a good bond, and we're great. It's perfect chemistry, and it's been working so far, and it's been brilliant, and we're gonna go the whole way to the top. Me, Stephen, my dad, Gary, the whole family. It's been perfect. We all work well together, and it's going to be a big exciting years ahead.
I think the way I look at it as well from outsider is you know full well, in terms of your trainer, what you want is loyalty and someone with your best interests at heart. And you guaranteed that with your father.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's someone you can 100% trust, and any decision's the right one, so you're not going to get taken advantage of. And it's great to have that. It's very, very hard in this sport to get someone that you can trust. And I'm lucky that I have someone.
How difficult or is it easy to have that split? When you're in the gym, it's boxing, but when you're outside of it, it's not. You don't speak about boxing because your whole family are involved in the sport. Is it difficult to not talk about it or not think about it, or is it easy to just actually, it's quite nice to separate the two?
It's easy enough now. Yeah, we've been doing it that long. It's nearly been 20 years, so we're well used to it at this stage. And once you're in the gym, it's just fully focused on that, and then outside of it, you're just switched off.
Just finally, for you, I'm assuming there's probably no dates or anything like that planned in the diary for yourself for your next fight, as you fought just so recently. But how how soon would you like to be back out? When do you want to be back out? And we know who you want. You want the world champions, but if you can't get world champion, who's the next stepping stone for you to that world title?
Uh, Whatever fight makes the most sense. I'm ready to go again. I always keep in shape, so sooner rather than later, I'd like to be back out and keep the activity going, keep the momentum going while it's good. If it's not any of the world champions, it doesn't matter to me. Whoever makes sense, and I want the biggest fights possible. I'd love to get a fight in Madison Square Garden. There's a lot of Irish people there, and it's very possible to get a fight there in the future. With all the Irish that support me, the crowd I had from Ireland coming over to support me for the fight at the weekend was unreal, and even people from New York, there was a lot came over. So I'd like to get a fight there or in Ireland.
Would that be one of your dream venues, Madison Square Gardens?
Yeah, definitely. I was supposed to make my debut there when I was 18 years old. In the big arena.
Hmm.
I was meant to be the youngest ever to fight in Madison Square Garden, and the night before the fight, it got pulled because my opponent had medical issues. So the fight didn't go ahead. So
What
that
what
was a big
what,
blow.
what show would that have been? Who was headlining?
That was Miguel Cotto's last ever fight,
Right.
and yeah, that was a tough one to take. So that's what's hardened me. That's what's got me used to all. So anything that comes my way, any pullouts that I've had in the past, prize fighter being cancelled, it didn't phase me because that one in Madison Square Garden from the start, that's the one that toughened me up, when it got cancelled.
Absolutely. Aaron, that's perfect. That's all I had to ask you. Anything that you want to add at all?
No, that's fine. That was brilliant, James. Good talking to you.